Welcome back to Lion Recaps. Today I will show you a survival thriller film from 2022, titled Fall. In the opening of the story, Becky embarked on a mountain climbing expedition alongside her husband Dan and her closest friend Hunter. During their ascent, Dan's attention was caught by a small cave, prompting him to reach inside for a better grip. Unexpectedly, a bird emerged from the cave, causing Dan to lose his balance and begin to plummet. Fortunately, his connection to a safety wire prevented a tragic outcome. Becky and Hunter rushed to aid him, yet tragedy struck as Dan's safety wire suddenly snapped, leading to his fatal fall. The scene transitions to the present, a year after the incident, where Becky finds herself overwhelmed with sorrow, reminiscing about her departed husband. Coping with her grief, she turned to excessive drinking, sinking into a state of depression. Concerned for her well-being, Becky's father, James, urged her to move forward from the tragedy. However, Becky remained unwilling to heed his advice. One day, Becky gets worried about her life and tries to commit suicide by taking a lot of medicines at once. Then Hunter calls her on the phone, and she doesn't commit suicide. The following day, Hunter paid a visit to Becky's residence with a plan to help her move past the tragic incident. Hunter proposed an exciting adventure to climb the B67 TV tower and invited Becky to join her. Aware of Becky's fondness for thrilling exploits, which she hadn't experienced in quite some time, Hunter hoped this would alleviate her worries. Initially concerned, Becky resisted the idea of climbing. However, the following morning, as she went to collect her medication, Becky made the decision to accompany Hunter on the climb. Together, they set out towards the tower. During the journey, Becky stumbled upon some old photos on Hunter's phone. Upon scrolling through them, she came across a picture where Hunter's shoulder was grasped by a boy's hand. Intrigued, Becky inquired about the boy, but Hunter sternly advised her against discussing it further. Meanwhile, Becky's father called, but she chose not to answer the phone. After a lengthy drive, they decided to spend the night at a hotel. Over dinner, Becky made an intriguing discovery: Hunter was a YouTube vlogger who funded her travels through her channel's earnings. Meanwhile, as they sat at the table, Becky's gaze was drawn to the TV tower visible outside the window, which Hunter revealed to be the fourth tallest tower in the United States. The following morning, with their car as their means of transportation, Becky and Hunter resumed their journey. Hunter seized the opportunity to capture vlogs for her YouTube channel while driving, excitedly informing her viewers about their plan to ascend the TV tower alongside her best friend. Eventually arriving at the TV tower, they were met with a locked gate adorned with a prominent danger sign. Undeterred, they parked the car and proceeded on foot. Along the way, they encountered a distressing sight: an assembly of vultures feasting on carcasses. Eager to document the scene, Hunter recorded it for her vlog and even shared a photo of the deceased animal on her Instagram account, which quickly garnered a significant number of likes. After a considerable journey, they finally arrived at the tower. At this point, Hunter ceased filming for her vlog. In the meantime, Becky's apprehension heightened as she confronted the towering height of the structure, realizing she had never faced such a vertigo-inducing challenge since the incident involving Dan. However, Hunter encouraged her to conquer her fears. With determination, Hunter secured the safety rope around Becky's waist, initiating their ascent. The aging tower exhibited signs of wear, with rusted iron and shaky stairs, their nut bolts loosened over time. As they climbed to a certain elevation, a section of the stairs broke off from Becky's grasp, plummeting downward. Filled with fear, Becky gathered her courage and recommenced the climb. Gradually, she reached the halfway point of the tower, approximately 1,000 feet above ground level, where the cityscape appeared diminutive. Taking a brief respite, they rested and quenched their thirst before resuming their ascent. After a considerable duration, the pair found themselves at the impressive height of 1,800 feet, with a mere 200 feet left to ascend. Becky's anxiety intensified as they climbed higher, buffeted by strong gusts of wind and the trembling of the aged stairs. Overwhelmed, she suggested they descend, but Hunter urged her not to relinquish their progress after coming so far. Encouraged, Becky mustered her resolve and resumed climbing. The path ahead posed considerable danger, with certain sections requiring careful navigation. While Hunter adeptly crossed the precarious gaps, she extended her assistance to Becky, guiding her across. As they ascended, the wind's force grew stronger, intensifying Becky's fear. Unbeknownst to them, the worn-out nut bolts securing the stairs began to loosen, gradually dislodging one by one. Unyielding, they pressed on, oblivious to the unfolding situation. Eventually, they triumphantly reached the pinnacle of the tower, only for another loose nut bolt to detach and plummet downwards. At this point, Hunter resumed recording her vlog, eager to capture captivating footage. To ensure stunning visuals, she deployed a drone camera for aerial shots. After a while, aiming to provide her viewers with even more captivating content, Hunter handed Becky the drone remote and dangled herself from the tower with a single hand, skillfully maneuvering for dramatic shots. Once satisfied, she hoisted herself back up and encouraged Becky to partake in the daring feat. Reluctant at first, Becky hesitated, but Hunter insisted that this was a golden opportunity to overcome her fears. With Hunter's hand in hers, Becky summoned her courage and replicated the daring stunt. In a poignant moment, Hunter took a heartfelt selfie of her friend. Subsequently, Becky retrieved the ashes of her late husband, Dan, which she had brought along. Reflecting on Dan's memory, she released his ashes into the air, evoking deep emotions in both Becky and Hunter. Subsequently, they reached a mutual decision to begin their descent. Accordingly, they secured their safety wire and Becky initiated her descent. However, as she took her first step on the stairs, they unexpectedly gave way, causing her to plummet downwards along with the collapsing stairs. In a stroke of luck, Hunter managed to grab hold of Becky, preventing her from a tragic fall. In that moment, Becky narrowly escaped death, causing her to tremble with fear initially, but soon, a wave of relief washed over both of them, leading to laughter. Peering downwards, they realized that there were no viable stairs left to continue their descent. Their phones proved futile as they lacked any network signal, and their bag, containing their provisions of food and drinks, had inadvertently plummeted to the ground from the tower. Their attention was then drawn to an emergency box positioned on the tower. Upon opening it, they discovered a flare gun and a pair of binoculars. Unfortunately, these items appeared to offer no practical solution to their predicament. Witnessing the dire situation, frustration seizes Becky, directed towards Hunter. Attempting to assuage Becky's anger, Hunter suggests that perhaps someone will hear the commotion caused by the collapsed stairs and come to their aid. They must wait patiently until help arrives. During this time, Hunter notices Becky's injured leg, a result of the stairs' collapse, with blood trickling from the wound. Resourcefully, Hunter utilizes her shirt to fashion a makeshift bandage for Becky's injury. After a while, Becky's curiosity gets the better of her, and she questions Hunter about her motivations for vlogging. Inadvertently, Hunter mentions Dan's name, triggering suspicion within Becky. Later on, as they find themselves with a lull in their circumstances, Hunter checks her phone. Prior to their ascent of the tower, she had posted a photo of the deceased animal on social media. An idea sparks in Hunter's mind to draft a distress message on her phone, attach it to the rope, and lower it down, hoping for a signal and successful upload. Unfortunately, her attempt proves unsuccessful. In a hopeful endeavor, Hunter considers the possibility of finding network coverage on the ground. She ingeniously secures her phone within her shoe, wrapping her socks tightly around it before releasing the shoe downward. Suddenly, Becky's gaze is drawn to a tattoo on Hunter's foot, a 143 symbol. The significance of the number triggers memories of her late husband, Dan, who had used the code as a way to express his love for her. Despite the emotional reminder, Becky pushes the thoughts aside, focusing instead on finding an alternative solution to aid Hunter. After a while, they spot a man accompanied by his dog passing by the tower at a distance. Desperate for assistance, they cry out for help, but the height of the tower hampers their voices from carrying far enough. To their dismay, they realize that the phone dropped within the shoe has been completely shattered, rendering their plan futile. As the man begins to walk away, Becky resorts to a desperate measure. She shouts and tosses her shoes in the man's direction, hoping to grab his attention. Unfortunately, the man remains oblivious, engrossed in a phone conversation. Following the unsuccessful attempts, Becky resorts to wielding the flare gun as a last resort. However, Hunter cautions her against firing it during the daytime, as it would likely go unnoticed. In the meantime, they spot two men in the vicinity who seem to have arrived for a gathering of some sort. Seizing the opportunity, they decide to deploy the flare gun under the cover of darkness, hoping to attract attention from the individuals. As night falls, Becky ignites the flare, illuminating the area and making their presence more visible to the two men. With a mix of hope and desperation, Becky and Hunter wave their hands vigorously and cry out for help. Observing the distant figures, they feel a glimmer of relief, anticipating assistance. However, to their dismay, the two men divert their attention towards Hunter's car, which they proceed to steal before fleeing. Overwhelmed by disappointment and sorrow, Becky and Hunter are left disheartened, unsure of their next course of action. In this moment of turmoil, Becky musters the courage to confront Hunter about the enigmatic tattoo on her foot. To Becky's astonishment and heartbreak, Hunter reveals that she had engaged in a 6-month affair with Dan. Hunter confesses her attraction and love for Dan but acknowledges that his love for Becky was far stronger. She expresses remorse for her grievous mistake and hastily ended the affair. Learning about the betrayal of her best friend and husband, Becky's disappointment deepens, leaving her feeling shattered. The following morning, Becky checks her phone and realizes that an entire day has elapsed since their ascent of the tower. The pangs of hunger and thirst intensify, prompting Hunter to devise a plan to retrieve their bag from the disc below. Securing the safety rope to the tower, Hunter descends, but to her dismay, the rope falls short, preventing her from reaching the bag. Faced with limited options, Hunter improvises by using a longer rope and leaping onto the disc. Retrieving the bag and quenching her thirst, she ingeniously hangs it with a rope from her selfie stick, preparing for the ascent. With a leap of faith, she grasps the rope and Becky begins pulling her up, anxiously aware of the risks. Hunter starts climbing, inching closer to the top, when suddenly, the rope slips from her hand, propelling her into a terrifying descent. Fear grips Becky's heart, for she has already experienced the loss of her husband and cannot bear the thought of losing her best friend as well. As Becky peers down in anguish, Hunter catches sight of her, desperately clinging to the rope. Despite sustaining a severe hand injury, Hunter musters her remaining strength, and with Becky's unwavering determination, they embark on a joint effort to pull Hunter back up the tower, defying the perilous odds. After some time, Becky devises a plan to seek help by utilizing the drone. She carefully writes a distress message and attaches it to the drone, intending to fly it back to the hotel for assistance. However, the drone's battery is critically low, limiting its range and preventing it from reaching the desired destination. Disheartened, Becky retrieves the drone, realizing their continued helplessness on the tower. During the night, Becky succumbs to a harrowing nightmare. She envisions the tragic demise of Hunter on the tower, with vultures ruthlessly feasting on her lifeless body. Consumed by fear, she abruptly awakens, relieved to discover it was only a haunting dream. The following morning, a glimmer of hope illuminates Becky's mind. An idea sparks within her. She realizes that she can charge the drone using the light source atop the tower. Determined, Becky ascends the tower pole, securing the drone charger into the socket. However, she discovers that the plug is loose, necessitating her to keep the charger dangling precariously from the pole. As time passes and the drone's battery slowly replenishes, Becky's hands gradually grow numb from the prolonged grip on the pole, yet she perseveres, unwavering in her determination. The situation worsened as a swarm of vultures relentlessly attacked Becky. In the midst of the chaos, her bag slips from her grasp, plummeting down to the ground below. After some time, Becky's drone finally reaches a full battery charge. She descends from the tower, filled with hope, and attempts to guide the drone towards the hotel for assistance. Unfortunately, her efforts are thwarted as the drone collides with a passing truck, rendering it inoperable. The loss of the drone's camera feed intensifies their fear and desperation. With no viable options remaining, Becky resigns herself to the tower, treating it as her temporary home. As evening approaches, a fierce storm amplifies the difficulties of survival. Overwhelmed by exhaustion, Becky succumbs to sleepiness, but Hunter prevents her from sleeping, alerting her to the renewed vulture attack. Becky implores Hunter for her other shoe, hoping to use it as a vessel to lower her phone for help. However, Hunter reveals a shocking twist: she perished when she jumped from the tower earlier. Becky finds herself alone, grappling with hallucinations that manifest Hunter's imagined presence. After enduring the relentless storm, Becky musters the strength to record a heartfelt video message for her father, James, expressing her desire to return home. James, filled with worry, anxiously awaits news of his daughter's well-being. In an unfortunate turn of events, Becky falls into a deep sleep on the tower, only to be awakened by a vicious vulture attacking her, tearing at her flesh. Despite the gruesome situation, Becky's hunger compels her to fight back, using a piece of metal from the tower to kill the vulture and sustain herself. Determined to escape her predicament, she descends to the disc using a rope, where she discovers the lifeless body of her friend, Hunter. Acting quickly, Becky sends a text message to her father, informing him of her perilous situation. Utilizing Hunter's shoes, she attaches her phone to the lifeless body and tosses it to the ground, hoping to alert James to her location. Upon receiving Becky's message that night, James contacts the authorities and rushes to the tower. As he arrives, he witnesses the police surrounding a deceased individual, mistakenly believing it to be Becky. However, to his astonishment and overwhelming relief, he spots his daughter sitting in the police car unharmed. Overjoyed, they embrace each other tightly, marking the heartwarming conclusion to this remarkable tale. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on the notification, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.